What is up, geeks and geekettes? It's another episode of the Countdown to the Geekcast. My name is Steady. With me on this episode is the man, the myth, the legend. You know him as JC.
Hey everybody, it's been a while. Look at this crazy voodoo background we got going here. Ooh, yeah.
Ooh,
Ooh, it's
ah,
floating, floating.
ooh. We have a great show for this late night stream. We have a lot to talk about. We're gonna be talking a little bit of Moon Knight. Gonna be catching up on Superman and Lois. No new episode this week. I don't know if you noticed that.
They'll be on a break, I think, until May. I'll double check the date, but they're basically on a short hiatus until May, and then they're gonna wrap up the season the
I'm
consecutive weeks after that.
I'm good with like one hiatus, but I don't understand these like multiple breaks that they take for all the shows. It's not just Supes and Lois, but
Blame the
it seems like
Olympics
they
and
all
blame
do that.
spring break. Yeah, blame the Olympics, blame spring break. That's really what it comes down to. So yeah,
Yeah.
pretty
And
much
then
so.
we're also gonna be talking about episode 2 of Halo, which I hope everybody's excited about. It's been pretty cool. But first, we're gonna be talking about one of our favorite shows. Um of all time in the animated space. That's right, Young Justice Phantoms is alive and well, and it is back. And we're going to be talking all about episodes 14 through 16. I probably should have just made it simple and said arc 4 for
Season
season
four,
4.
season four, everybody. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, season 4, and this is arc 4, which starts with Calderon, Aqualad turned Aquaman, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about. So yeah,
Yeah.
very exciting. We had this break, we didn't know exactly when they were going to come back, and then we got a little bit of a hint, like the springtime time frame, and then we were just shooting for March. We're like, let's
Hmm.
hope it's March. Let's hope it's March. And lo and behold, they dropped not one, not two, but 3 episodes upon their return. So I totally forgive them for taking this break in the middle. But
That's kind of the
yeah,
trend, right? They always debut an arc or back with 3 episodes, and then they give you one a week until they finish it. So I like it.
absolutely. And before we end our Young Justice topic, make sure that you have me bring up something that's been teased a little bit today that I want to bring up. So don't let me forget anything. Let's put it that way.
If I forget, I'm sorry. So yeah,
There you go.
yeah.
All right, gonna do a quick summary of episode 14, Nautical Twilight. Starts off kind of weird.
Mhm.
Um, Connor's dead, and we know this because they started with the opening sequence of Nightwing and Aquaman, talking
Aquaman.
about his passing, and yeah, so they're reminding us a little bit of what happened the last time we lost Connor. Everybody's just broken to pieces about it, and then we move a little bit forward after that.
Mhm.
Atlantis conference between nations is challenging, but all hell breaks loose when Ocean Master attacks everyone, but is stopped by a hooded figure. Question marks. Connor lives. We got a little glimpse of
Told
Connor
you.
in
I
sort of a
told you.
very unusual type void that he's in right now.
The
And
astral plane or whatever they call it. Sometimes it's that little purgatory. I guess I don't know.
I'm wondering. We're gonna talk about
Yeah.
that.
Mhm.
Yeah, Connor lives. Where is he? When is he? How is he? Not sure. We'll talk about that. And also, Violet, aka Halo, wants to learn more about Islam. Yeah. So great opening episode. Back for Young Justice, and of course, we're gonna have to talk about Connor first because they wasted no time, right? They let us know he is aware or conscious in some state or some form of matter. I like what you said just a second ago because honestly, swear to you, that was my first initial thought. and I don't know if that's right, but we can go ahead and kind of elaborate on that a little bit more. You talk about it first. Your thoughts about Connor, where he's at, what he's doing. Then I'll also tell you how I came up to that same conclusion.
He's in that purgatory. It seems right. That's kind of what it is. The astral plane. You hear it on so many different levels and so many different things, comics and otherwise. That there's this world between life and death, and he's kind of caught in the middle there. Um, and he's just trying to navigate that. It's almost like all these major fears or things are playing with his head in there.
Yeah,
Um, I don't know if this is some sort of trial for him to go back to the world of the living or something or what. Because his death his death, I'll put in quotes, is very different, from something we've ever seen. It was on another planet. It
right.
was in a fire with kryptonite, so it's I say his death, and I already think of the Princess Bride. He's not all dead. He's mostly dead. He's not all dead. So, but yeah, this is I'm kind of something fishy's going on. If he's in some weird world in between that is just toying with his mind, you know, in a spiritual sense. Like I was freaky seeing Superman get his neck snapped. It was just random.
Ah,
That was
yeah.
nuts. Yeah. So uh,
So I like I
in the world in between people, it didn't really happen in the show. Just
right.
that kind of that visual. Yeah.
Which I wonder if they kind of got that idea from Man of Steel because it's sort of like a
Yeah.
reverse of that situation, you know?
Mhm.
Okay, so listen, you came up with like your best guess,
Mhm.
your educated guess was the purgatory.
Yeah.
And when watching this episode 14, Young Justice, spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't figured it out,
Mhm.
spoiler alert, um, we just watched something very similar to this, which kind of uh, turned the light on in my head, which was Titans. And we were
Yeah.
dealing with Hawk and his death.
Hmm.
And Hawk went through this couple episode long subplot where he
Hmm.
was in purgatory and he met up with a couple of other Titans, and Jason Todd, I'm pretty sure. And they had to, like, complete these, I don't want to say missions, maybe quests to get out,
Like it was almost like a how can I say this? Like a Pirates of the Caribbean. Davy Jones had to ferry spirits to the next life or something. Maybe that was kind of what they were doing, right? Kind of saving spirits or something like that. Yeah, that's what it felt like.
Absolutely. So when I'm watching this episode, I'm like, this reminds me a lot of Titans. I wonder if he's sort of in this purgatory type spot. And
Yeah,
that wasn't going to be my first initial guess with how they kind of bring him back. I thought the other Legionnaire might have transferred him to another time or another dimension or
yeah.
something.
That was my guess is that they got him out just in time, and that he's somewhere like in a hypersleep or in a coma somewhere recovering, and then they can bring him back. But they even addressed that in an episode two here, one of these three, where the Legion was involved with it. So
Yeah.
you
So
know,
that was my initial guess. My easiest way to explain this: they got him out. He's in the
yeah.
future. He's in the past. He's another dimension, and he's all well and good, right?
Mhm.
But no, she's there with him too, unconscious for the moment. But yeah, so this feels a lot like that Titans arc where Hawk and a few others, not Diana,
I know you're talking
Wonder
about
Girl, forget her
Wonder
name.
Girl. Yeah, she comes back, from
Yeah,
that. So and he
and
goes off and
Jason
becomes
also.
yeah. He doesn't resurrect as Hawk. He resurrects as Jack Reacher, which we'll see on Amazon in a few weeks. So
Absolutely. So yeah,
yeah,
that felt a lot like that, and so now I'm kind of trying to figure out what would eliminate that possibility. What would show up on this season to kind of eliminate that possibility of this being something like a purgatory? That little sort of microbe of a creature because it felt like some sort of microbe creature that attacked him. It felt a lot like he was sort of in like a smaller pocket dimension, and that looked like the type of creature that would exist in that realm. So I don't
Almost
have
like the
any.
sandworm in Beetlejuice kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Well, I
yeah.
was gonna say a lot like Ant Man going into the quantum realm. You know, you would
Mhm,
see this kind of feels like the quantum realm in a way, which is a
mhm.
a microverse within our universe or something. So again, I think there's a few possibilities out there. The one I'm leading with is the one you're leading with. This is some sort of purgatory that he's trapped in. The only way for him to get out might be for him to achieve some sort of goal or overcome some sort of obstacle. Um, we're not sure yet, but I also feel like showing us that he's dead, like for real dead, would also be something I didn't think they would try and do, right? Like they were
Right.
going to explain his fake death a different way, telling us he's actually dead and this is his spirit and that spirits can come back feels like a bigger reach that they don't want to try and explain or try and go down that road. So what
Do
is
you think
very
it's
interesting.
Go ahead,
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. No, I would say, do you think this is gonna be very similar to Hawk, where this person he's carrying around, his mission is he has to save her. Like, she tried to save him and died in the process. Is he gonna have to let her become resurrected, and he's gonna have to fade away? Um, I hope not. I mean, obviously, I hope he comes back. But there is something for them showing this journey. I just I don't know. Or is he gonna find Wally in there somewhere? Is they're gonna find some way to bring Wally back too? You know,
What's interesting is that we saw Clark in his attire, and then we got a flashback of Connor when he was at the clone facility, right?
right?
Um, in his original kind of look. But Wally, when we saw him in a later episode, he looked like Connor does now,
Mm,
and I want to believe that it's just all going on in Connor's head, and he knows Clark's alive. That's why he looks like this.
mm,
Wally's not. That's why he looks like this. But it is curious, like that his appearance looked like Connor's now, sort of like a negative vibe. And when
right.
you say negative, you think of Negative Zone, you think of Phantom Zone, and so that also was like an initial thought in my head. He's somehow trapped in the Phantom Zone. How did he get there? I have no idea. Just
Some sort
explain
of
it with this Legionnaire thing.
like purgatory phantom zone. I mean, hence the name Phantoms. That's the arc of the season, right? Phantoms, and we've been wondering this whole time. We've seen nothing about phantoms the whole first half of this season, like barely anything. But we're kind of digging into it now. Now we're getting into the meat of it. Where is he? What is he? And how is this affecting?
I
What
always,
what?
I always felt that the word phantoms was going to be sort of loosely
Mhm.
attributed to different subplots. So you could
Right.
kind of say like in arc one, I'm trying to remember back. That was Miss Martian, right?
I think so. Them
And
getting the
Connor and Beast
marriage,
Boy.
the wedding. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So arc one, Phantoms could have been the invisible bad guys that were like committing all these terrorist acts.
Mhm.
You know, um, arc two. I'm forgetting what arc two was. Not the magic arc.
I gotta get
Arc
to it.
two was. Oh, it was what's it called? Artemis
Artemis. There we go.
and yeah, and her
Tigers.
sister and all
Yeah.
that. What would the phantoms be? The phantoms in that one could have been sort of loosely based on the the backstory of Orphan and her mother Shiva, Lady Shiva.
Mhm.
Something like that. Something along those lines. Like everything is very loosely based on Phantoms. I never thought we were going to get exact direct reference to Phantoms, but Phantom Zone would, eventually kind of fill that void out very nicely.
Yeah.
Let's get into episode 15. A quick summary of episode 15 titled Ebb Tide. A prophecy about a one true king of Poseidonus may be coming true. Chameleon Boy and Saturn Girl tell Clark their friend died alongside Connor. They also tell him to take the place of Connor in 10 years exactly at Happy Harbor. He has to kind of fill this future
Some
prophecy,
sort of yeah. So
this
like
purpose.
send me an invite on my iPhone, bro, so I can put it on my calendar, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. Chaos. We relive the events. We relive the events of Child causing chaos around the world. Ocean Master even helps Mera to try and stop the chaos fire from burning around Poseidonus. The Stranger returns during this time to save the day and help capture Orm. Um, Turns out he is Arian, the founder of Atlantis, and also the son of one Vandal Savage. It's a good thing we got all those flashbacks and all those previous episodes.
Right.
The episode ends when Legionnaires are shown speaking to the new Kid Flash, which is Impulse, Bart Allen.
Yeah.
Um, Great episode. Cool learning about this prophecy, this one true king, um, one king to rule them all. And then we go back into a lot of these arcs are sort of weaving alongside one another. Some of them happen at parallel times. And so this is just another example of that. We're seeing that Orm came back out of nowhere and kind of helped save the day, which was very curious. But hey, we'll go with it, right? Kind of cool to see them all work together. But of course, he's a bad guy, so he immediately turns on everybody. But then you have this masked figure kind of come in and save the day. Your thoughts
There's
on
some supernatural underwater powers as well, so
this? Felt a lot like Lord of the Rings when you had Aragorn sort of showing up as the hooded savior whenever
right.
the orcs or whatever will come around. The one true king. Anyways,
Mhm.
so your thoughts, episode 15. This arc around Orm, and then what could possibly the Legionnaires be talking about with Clark? This future event.
I don't know. It's something that well, obviously they're from the future. It's something they know of that turns the tide, or know where the timeline split either way. So I don't know if it's some sort of like invasion or something. I don't know. I mean, 10 years from now and a day, like remember to be here at this time. He's like, okay, it's like he's gonna remember this, right?
He's
Uh,
Kryptonian. He could probably remember.
yeah, I'm like, okay, does he have a calendar in his brain or something? It's crazy.
Hmm.
So that who knows? That's that interesting. We call that long term booking. What is out there? Where are we going with this? And what's going to happen 10 years from now? Like, are they suddenly in season 5 going to flash forward 10 years? If we get, I hope we get a season 5, right?
Roman
Um,
Reigns will still be champion in 10 years.
no, because Cody Rhodes is going to take it from by the end of this year. I'm calling it right now. The American Nightmare, baby. Let's do it. Um, I don't know where that plan is going here. Now, as far as the Ocean Master thing, I was at a loss until they revealed something in the next episode. I don't know if I could say it now, that this wasn't really Ocean Master.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's a clone. So I don't know if this mysterious figure that was saving everybody might be the real Orm.
Which we should bring up that we were sort of hesitant to begin with. All the fans were,
Yeah,
because we saw Orm get beheaded last season,
right,
when he was like a few yards away from murdering the team and their like children and their
right.
little nieces and nephews. So geez, that got dark, but luckily it didn't happen. And instead, he got his head taken off. I think is what happened. So yeah, we were all wondering, why are we
How is
seeing
he back?
Orm to begin with?
And
So
now that we know he's a clone, how many clones are out there? Like, was this one that stepped in and saved him? Was this, you know, was this one of those clones that wasn't quite what we were trying to do? Maybe instead of him being like an evil asshole, he's more of the good guy kind of thing, you know? So I don't know. It's interesting how he had almost some like Shazam style powers underwater. You know,
yeah,
it was interesting in that respect. So maybe it is a, a Shazam style character. You know, so
yeah.
we'll
Let's get
see.
into episode 16 so we can cover all of this.
Mhm.
Episode 16, Emergency Dive. For those who are keeping score, the first letter of all the titles so
Invitation
far
to me.
spell out, yeah, invitation to knee. We think it's going to end, or the next episode is going to start with an L. So that'll be Neil. And then it's anybody's guess from there. But I spoke to, I think, Jericho last time
Mhm.
and told him that sort of one of the biggest guesses right now is that all the episode first letters are going to spell invitation to kneel before Zod. And it fits perfectly
Does it
within the
fit? Okay.
26 letters.
Maybe Zod's the 10-year event from now. He breaks out of the Phantom Zone or something like that.
Oh, could
Yeah.
be, could be.
Mhm.
All right, episode 16, Emergency Dive. Forger tells McGann she should speak to Logan after his downward spiral. She decides to hold an intervention, which got interesting, especially because we had someone very funny in attendance. The stranger is indeed Aryan, founder of Atlantis and son of Vandal Savage. Connor struggles to understand where he is or what to do. Calder is tasked with finding the crown of Atlantis within the original ruins. And of course, we get the bombshell towards the end of the episode that Orm is, in fact, a clone of some sort, which
Yes.
automatically puts a big question mark above King Arian. And does, is he actually the king, or is he somehow part of this experiment? Maybe he's the real Orm in disguise, which I think you were alluding to earlier.
Right.
And it felt very Star Wars ish to me. It was like, what's the answer? It's clones. That's what it is. But it's totally cool because we've covered clones before, but yeah, interesting that it's still a thing now because clones was early on, season one, baby. That's
Mhm.
how we found Connor to begin with. So the fact that this is still kind of a thing, it's been so many years later within the timeline, and now the bad guys are using it for their own, individual reasons or purposes is kind of weird or strange. But yeah, we're gonna go with it.
And it might explain if that Orm that was killed previously was a clone after all too. That might explain why so vengeful. You know that how dark it was getting. So maybe that was a clone all along. You know. So
Perhaps. Yeah, that's what I'm actually kind of coming up with too. Is that that wasn't the original owner to begin with, so we're good, all good on that front.
yeah.
It's interesting though that Batman comes up with the ooh. Batman actually comes up with the test result saying you are the father of one Vandal Savage, and he's and because he cross referenced it with a sample from Savage and I think a sample from Savage's daughter is what he said, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So they were able to cross reference those samples. So is Batman in on it? Because you shouldn't, if Arian is a faker, a con artist, Orm in disguise, how did he get the samples to come out accurate? That's a question worth asking. Is that because Batman is also in on it? Maybe he's not even Batman. He is also Orm in disguise. He's Orm. She's Orm. They're all Orm. This could get weird fast.
Oprah goes in charge of the cloning process. You get an Orm. You get an Orm. You get an Orm.
Yeah, so kind of a lot of things to explain away. Um,
You
what are your
mentioned
thoughts
the
on?
intervention, though. I kind of I thought that was an interesting scene. Just how dark and twisted Beast Boy's mind has gone since Connor's death. You know, great to see Robot Man again of all things.
Why
I
did they not get the? Why did they not go get Brendan Fraser to be his voice?
Carrie Payton's a good consolation. He voices Cyborg in Teen Titans and Teen Titans Go, so I can't argue with that. He's voice acts so many, but
He
I
was
guess
also Calder.
yeah, he's got a lot of voiceover work, you know.
He's a
But
man.
you know, I really was hoping he would cuss more like he does. I mean, if Brendan Fraser was in there, and Brendan Fraser's cussing left and right. That'd be great. So,
That'd be
uh,
amazing.
yeah. But I don't know. I don't know. I thought that the intervention was interesting. How everyone stepped in, and he's just like, "All right, let's just get through this." And now they're gonna do a mental health check. And if they try and silence him or kick him off, I mean, I don't know if he's supposed to do anything. But at one point, is he just gonna freak out and go on a rampage, and he's gonna just be a loose cannon? You know? I mean,
Yeah.
that's uh, yeah. You wonder like,
Uh,
Connor's got to come back just to kind of get him to snap out of it. You know?
it's interesting because Beast Boy talks a lot like a lot of teenagers these days,
Mhm.
and it's even his way of thinking. It's his critical thinking skills. It's his logic. It's not just the attitude, but it's how his brain works, and it is the very essence of the American teenager today. Which I have one of those.
I was about to
So
say. So what you're saying is
I'm not saying
Colin is Beast Boy.
I'm not saying that, but I'm not saying that.
Or
I
at least
can
think
neither confirm nor deny that. No, but it felt it was that angst and that attitude and
we were all there
the
once.
the
Yeah.
quick talkbacks. Yeah,
Mhm.
it was all there, man. I'm just like, dude, they really nailed down like
I mean,
this whole teenage dirtbag persona
my
really well.
7-year-old going on 17. I feel like that sometimes too. The way she talks about. It. I mean, we all have that with kids, right? You know, as they grow older. So,
Oh yeah.
mhm.
So
So
yeah, it was very interesting to kind of see that in a series on television in animation. I don't know if I've seen that before, but they kind of nailed it down perfectly. I don't know what's gonna switch him. I don't know what's gonna get him out of that funk. I think it's gonna only kind of
it's
fall
gonna take.
into getting Connor back. If there's a way to get him back, it's gonna hopefully come out of that point. But I also feel like you just don't try to get him out
Yeah,
because you
it's
have to let him go through it.
it's going to take either Connor coming back or Connor finding a way to speak to him like in a dream or a vision or in his head, something to get him to snap, you know.
Yeah,
He's got to have some interaction because this is what he feels this is what started this. This is what he feels guilty over, you know. So
yeah,
this is what sent him on this path and it's going to take something with Connor to break him out of that, you know. Um,
yeah. I agree. Um, yeah, like it's gonna take something to break him out of it, but also raising a teenager right now. Sometimes you just let him go through it,
yeah.
and there's not anything you can do. There's not anything to change it. You just kind of let everything take its course, and they'll come out of it eventually. That's the hope. You just have to be there when they do. So it kind of feels like that now because they took their best shot. I mean, you brought Robot Man for crying out loud, and you
Mhm.
still couldn't get through to him. So
Now, if they had got Brendan Fraser to voice Robot Man, and he throws in f bombs left and right and every other cuss word in the book, maybe Beast Boy would have snapped out of it already. I'm just saying, Brendan Fraser could probably do that. You know?
as soon as Beast Boy gets up and like walks out of the room, you just hear Brendan Fraser go, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, I know. You get Diane Guerrero just have Crazy Jane show up, sing a song like she's Isabella from Encanto. Just do the whole Doom Patrol. That maybe they take his whole Doom Patrol team to break
Wait,
him
wait,
down.
wait! But did you hear that? You heard the part when he said they're all dead?
Oh, that's right, because of that final mission. He's the only one that survived. Yeah,
Yeah, and I'm like,
I
no.
forgot
it
about that. Yeah,
it
that sucks.
makes sense, but I'm just like, no. I mean, at
Yeah,
least he gave us
I
Robot
would
Man, but
have loved
still,
to have seen some sort of an animated Crazy Jane, especially after the way she's been portrayed in Doom Patrol. Like, give me something there, you know. So, um, Yeah,
Multiverses and time travel. We'll see her eventually, I'm sure.
we'll see. If she shows up and starts singing like Isabella from Encanto, then you know they've just gone crazy. So
Yeah. I love where we're going so far. There's a lot of subplots going on right now. Um, Not Calder. Who's there's a lot of great things to appreciate about the show. There's so many little details to enjoy. Hopefully for everybody. I love the format still of the arcs. I think it's genius, especially because a lot of them, like we mentioned, are happening almost simultaneously. They also overlap in a lot of ways, so we're able to see what everybody's going through. I've seen a couple of people online that don't like the format. They want the team together. They want, like, the seven, the all back. And to that I say, the friends you grew up with, your group, your clique that you grew up with through your youth and your teenage years, you guys aren't together today. You were seeing each other every single day at one point for 7 8 hours a day, probably at school or college, and then after that, you had to kind of
right,
not fade away, but you had to kind of live your own lives. And it doesn't mean you're not a part of each other's lives anymore, but you still have your own responsibilities and you have your own families. And so, yeah, you sort of do drift a little bit apart. And that's all the team has done, is that
yeah,
everybody has more responsibilities of their own. Calder's Aquaman, for crying out loud. Beast Boy was running the Outsiders. McGann and Connor were supposed to get married, so they were doing this whole tradition thing on Mars. Like, it's not that the team isn't a team, it's just that people have things to do now, that's a part of their own lives. And so I think that's just a natural evolution of where the show has gone, is that we expected them to grow apart eventually as they got older. Some are part of the Justice League now. That's just how it happens. That's what works. That's the way it's supposed to go. And this is just a natural evolution of this team that we once knew, that was together. They've gotten older and grown apart a little bit.
maybe eventually we'll get it all back. It's just you have to go through this type of trial to get back to that point. You know, when you're a more formidable team. So we'll see. Like you said, it won't be all of them. It'll be a newer version of it, but you know, got to get there.
Absolutely. I mentioned that there was something that we needed to kind of discuss regarding the show, and now I'm about to
Forger's
drop it.
graduation speech.
Huh?
Forger's graduation speech in the post credits, where he's
Ah,
shouting out Fred Bug with two G's while he's doing that. So
that was amazing. Yeah, it's amazing. He's also the valedictorian. That was his valedictorian speech, right?
yeah,
Freaking A. I mean, is that fair? I don't know if it is, but it is what it is. So Greg Wiseman, one of the showrunners, co-creators of Young Justice, who we had to thank for this amazing series, posted on Twitter a few hours ago today, and he said, haven't written a comic book in some time. I'm kind of in the mood. And he tags friend of the show, Mr. Christopher Jones, who was the one of the illustrators and illustrators for the original Young Justice comic book run.
right.
He's been on the show and talked about it before with us. And he tags Chris Jones in his tweet. And Chris, being Chris, replies, "Who, me?" And then he says, "Gee whiz, I like to draw on them comical books." And so I think these two gentlemen are teasing a tie-in comic, which is amazing. We did get a tie-in comic before season 3, which Christopher and I talked about.
Right.
It was fantastic. Go check out that episode if you want to see that again. But yeah, friend of the show, Chris Jones, might be drawing the next tie-in comic for Young Justice, and how fantastic would that be?
Do you think? Okay, I'm skeptical. I know the Time comic is great, which I hope means they're getting a season 5, and I hope they're just kind of surprising us. but I am curious if they are possibly trying to transition this into a comic continuation. I hope not. I hope it's an animated
No, I don't.
series.
I don't. Yeah, I
Yeah.
I think it'll. Well, I mean, now I'm
Mhm.
I'm starting to think that. Thanks a lot.
Sorry.
But
You never know.
no, I think his tweet wouldn't have been so playful
Mhm.
if that was how drastic this is going to affect the series. So yeah, I'm excited. The tie-in comics so far have dealt with timelines that we don't see on the show, but that sometimes they do reference, once or twice. So
Yeah.
it's always great to get a tie-in comic that sort of sheds light on those moments we don't see on the show, but you kind of wonder about like what really happened, what went down, and it could be anything. So
Mhm.
it could be something that happened prior. It could be something that we haven't seen quite yet. Maybe when season 4 ends, they do something, or maybe it's like an arc that extends a little further from this season, and we won't. Season 5 may still push forward. It'd be crazy. This 10 years in the future thing, dealing with Clark and
Mhm.
missing Connor. um, I would hate for this to happen, but what if like that's the moment Connor comes back? What if like their premonition, or what if their situation has now changed, and Clark replacing Connor just means that he has to sort of give his life in order to get Connor back in 10 years? That
Yeah.
would suck, but also like Clark sacrificing himself for his quote unquote son is not out of the realm of possibility, and it's something that I've been thinking about since we lost Connor.
Mhm.
Who more willing to give his own life to bring him back than the Man of Steel himself? So, not saying that's going to happen, not saying it's a spoiler, but that is something that if I'm writing the show, I would kind of try and get to that point at some point in time. But yeah, let us know what you thought about the last 3 episodes of Young Justice. It's back, ladies and gentlemen, and now we're 3 episodes closer to the end of season 4, which is scary. But we want to hear from you. Let us know what you thought about those episodes, and drop those comments below in the comment section. All right, you ready for talk to what? You ready to talk about what? You ready to talk about some Halo?
Is that the order we're going with, Halo? Or are we going to finish with Superman and Lois at this point? Because there's a lot to unpack with that one. So, especially
With,
with
with
the
Superman and Lois?
yeah, with what they left us on the hiatus. We can talk Halo. I'd like to
We'll
finish with
talk
Superman.
Halo. I think we'll
Yeah.
get it a little quicker. Yeah. All right. Halo, Episode 2, Unbound. A quick summary goes like this. We open on a flashback where John 117, as a teenager, nearly prevented one of his peers, Soren, from escaping the Spartan program before having a change of heart. Good on him. John, in present day, travels to Rubble to see Soren with Quan and the Keystone in hand to get some answers. Halsey finds a way to get military support for her Katana program. The Resistance has a new leader, but he's kind of a dick. Finally, John speaks to a guy named Reth, ex Covenant prisoner. He tells John he is special, a blessed one. The Covenant searches for the means to harness a weapon. He is told to destroy the artifact as well as himself to prevent what's coming. Ooh. Your thoughts on episode 2, sir?
Well, I want to start this off by saying because I wasn't on the talk with episode one.
Hmm.
I'm not too familiar with the Halo mythos. I didn't
Mm.
really play all the games. I played Halo 2 mostly on the original Xbox because a lot of friends, it was the hip thing. Buddy of mine got one of the French copies of it when it leaked. Remember that? Remember those olden days when those things would leak and it was so rare and
Oh my god, yeah.
it's like a month before the game was supposed to come out and we are having LAN parties and playing it and it was so much fun.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, as somebody who's not too familiar with it, I like how they're presenting this. I like overall how this series is giving you those little vibes. The first person shoot, so it feels like the game. They make a lot of good references to a lot of the game itself, good for hardcore fans and stuff like that. Where the story is going is interesting. It's almost like a Finn storm, Star Wars Finn thing. He's brainwashed as a stormtrooper, and then he has an experience where he just kind of breaks out of it, and we're getting to that now.
Yeah.
How this weapon activates, that's going to be the big arc for this first season, and what's John's role in it. Yeah, so that I like how they're keeping that a big mystery as well, and how he feels like he has to protect this girl that he was a survivor. So, uh, but it's I'm expecting some awkward moments. He's been brainwashed so long, he forgets how to be a normal person. How to
Right.
interact with. Yeah. So, but as far as the story, I mean, they're telling it well. It's hard to predict where this is going to go and how much the Covenant's going to get involved. And even then, John's kind of caught in the middle between this whole Spartan Covenant thing. So,
It's this show has made a lot of interesting choices, and it's kind of what we talked about in our last discussion about episode 1. Like just the detail of John taking his helmet off so soon.
mhm.
Like that was a really big part of the mythos of
Yeah,
the
yeah,
video
because
game. So
we never see his face in the video games, do we?
no, not in the video games, no.
No.
Especially not so early in the video games.
Yeah, I mean, at the ending of the first Halo, I mean, he takes it off, but the camera pans out in the ending. You never see it in two. I don't even think you see it in three. If I'm not, I mean, you never see his face. So
Yeah, we do find out what he looks like. I'm not gonna remember exactly when that happened again, but like just that detail of taking his helmet off, like that's a very interesting choice to make,
yeah,
and it's also interesting to have the military turn against him. Make him a fugitive. So that was also a very interesting choice. And now, after in this episode, episode 2, we sort of get reference of Halo, the ring world,
yes.
but it's not how it happens in the games. And I'm not trying to say that's better or worse, but I think they're doing it for the sake of time. I think to tell the story the way they want to, they're doing it this way rather than the Covenant destroys Reach. Um, Master Chief he kind of stumbles upon this ring world, and they take refuge on it. And turned out to be this weapon. Maybe they felt that that was all too serendipitous. Like, oh, he just happens to find Halo, and in this way, it's more like he has a reason to find it.
Right.
Maybe it's something like that. And they thought that would have been better. Which again, not saying it's better or worse, but it is interesting. I think once we see the rest of the episodes, it's going to be a lot clearer, sort of what the inspiration was, or not the inspiration, what the motivation was for making all these decisions. Very interesting stuff. Choosing to make these decisions willfully. Um,
How soon into this season do you think they would actually get to the Halo world?
well, that's funny because some of the guys last week thought we weren't going to get to Halo until season 2. And I'm like, I feel like we're gonna get there sooner. I
I think it's
said
gonna
by
be
the, I
a
said
thing.
by the end of the season, and then that could be like a launch into season 2. But I think again they're making these changes to the story that we know, maybe to get to Halo sooner.
Mm,
I mean, the show is called Halo, so you kind of have to like show it,
yeah.
and that's why I don't think we're gonna be waiting too much longer for it.
Yeah, I think it'll be in mid-season. I mean, Paramount Plus, they've done it with the Star Trek series. They take little mini hiatuses in the mid-seasons too. They did it with Discovery. I don't know how many episodes Halo is. Do you recall? Um,
Limited series, I want to say 6,
okay, so they're probably not going
maybe
to take a
7.
maybe like usually on these like limited series, like after the third or fourth episode, they leave you with this big cliffhanger to get people talking. So maybe they end up on the Halo world within the next episode or two. So um, I feel like
Oh,
you have to spend a good amount of time there.
I lied. 9 episodes.
9 episodes, okay. So yeah, I feel like you need to spend a good amount of the series there. That's the whole point, right? That's how the game got its name, how the series get its name. So
Yeah.
um, yeah, I would say probably mid season.
Love all the sound effects that we got in this episode. Again, putting in video game sound effects into the series very smart idea. Like if you wouldn't have done that, then it wouldn't have felt as genuine, or wouldn't have felt as good as it should have, if those things were left out. So thank you for doing that. Um, Cortana, getting Cortana very soon. How that factors in the clone of herself, of Halsey, I don't know, but I guess that's going to be explained some way, somehow. That's very interesting again. Very interesting stuff. I feel like they're trying to tell the story faster. That's why they're making all these, not weird, but unique decisions regarding the mythos. They're trying to tell the story faster, get it out quicker in 9 episodes, as opposed to what, like a 50-hour gameplay or playthrough. So yeah,
You're trying to find everything, yeah. So yeah,
there you go. Yeah. So I guess that's it. Where do you think we're headed next?
I feel like he's going to have some sort of running with the covenant. They're trying to find the other blessed ones. I feel like there's something that has to come of that. You know, I don't know if it's going to be on Reach. I think he's on Reach right now, right? I forget what planet he's on right now.
He went back to Reach. Yeah.
So I don't know if the Covenant's going to be able to track him based because he has that artifact or something. So um, I almost feel like it's a I have Soren One Ring thing. Like every time he activates it, it's like, oh, we know where he is, and they just like shoot down at him. So I don't know. I feel like you need to have some sort of run in with the Covenant soon because this episode had a lot of talk and not a whole lot of action. If you do that too long when it's a game that's a freaking first person shooter, your audience is going to get a little bored with it. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that completely. I'm so confused about who this human blessed girl is with the covenant. They said she's one of the blessed ones, so they think she can probably start up,
Activate. That's my
activate
thought.
Halo.
The best ones are the ones that activate that artifact, which I think you just said it might be what activates Halo, the weapon itself. So
Right.
yeah, I wonder if they'd have to collect a certain number of them, like I don't know, 12. I don't know if there's a certain number of blessed ones they need. He's one of them. They're trying to track them all down, or a certain number
That
of them.
that could be what's going to happen next. We're going to find out either where the rest of them are, or like um start collecting them, and
Yeah, we
then
have like one episode dedicated to what the Covenant's doing, just to get that explanation. You know,
right. It's odd that this Reth character kind of gave us all this knowledge, and he was just a prisoner. But I'm like, it's what happens in TV shows and movies. You got to have this one character just give this whole data dump on us,
yeah,
and
I'll talk
so
to me. Yeah, so
yeah, exactly. Cool. Yeah, can't wait to see what happens next. I love the quality. It's a high production value series. I hope you guys are watching it. Let us know what you thought about it. Drop your thoughts in the comments, and your theories on what's going to happen next. Let us
love
know.
the opening credits too. I didn't get to say that last week, but or last time you guys talked, love it.
Absolutely. No new Superman and Lois show this week, but we're going to go ahead and talk about episode 9, 30 Days and 30 Nights. And the summary
Worth
goes like this.
worth talking about. Yes, go.
Absolutely. Ali Alston is broken out of custody and travels through the portal to Bizarro World. Clark flies in pursuit but realizes he is too late and then flies in a circle to gain enough velocity, then goes straight through the portal and isn't seen in Smallville for 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
Hence the title of the episode. During this time, John Henry is being recognized as a hero, and even Jordan gets into the fold by saving Kaya from a house fire. That was pretty sweet. Nat and John have a hard time on the anniversary of her mother's death, John's wife. Lois and her dad are captured when investigating an XK production operation, but are luckily saved by Jordan, who's showing off his sick hand to hand combat moves. Lana wins the mayoral race, and the Kent farm has a visit from Bizarro Jordan. Sorry, Jonathan, who says Clark was too late. Your thoughts on episode 9?
Let's not forget also poor Jordan. The life of a superhero. Relationships are hard, and he breaks up with Sarah. Or Sarah breaks up with him because of it. So
Yeah.
sadness. Um,
First Peter Parker, now Jordan. Everybody's getting dumped.
it happened with Clark with Lana. She was wondering where he was. Always keeping the secret, and then she goes, you know, it's one of those things, right? And so,
Absolutely.
uh, but where they left it off, I was very shocked to see a Bizarro Jonathan. And if everything's reversed, obviously the way he was dressed, he's the one with the abilities,
Right.
and Jordan's inverse doppelganger does not have any. I would assume so.
If he's alive.
He's alive, right? Saying that Clark was too late, and all we get is a glimpse of Clark seeing some light, which I haven't seen the teaser for the next episode, which will be April 27th, by the way. So we have 1, 2, 3 weeks to go till we get
That's
one.
too long. Yeah.
Yeah, but interestingly enough, the title of that next episode is "Bizarros in a Bizarro World." So one thing we've been wanting to see is how this bizarre world is. I think it's going to center on what Clark is doing over there and how he's navigating it. So, um, episode was really good, if not just for the cliffhanger, but the town getting on Jonathan for the football season cancellation. Uh, but seeing that we saw Bizarro Jonathan at the end, how did he get there? And where's regular Jonathan? Where is he at? Like he just kind of disappeared after the whole mayoral election thing. Like we haven't seen him since.
Yeah, I think well, he's going to be fine. I think that just it was just the way the show was trying to tense up that last scene, kind of showing Jonathan walking back home, but
Yeah,
then having this new Jonathan show up. Very clever the way they're doing it, the storytelling. I love the way they tell. They go through these episodes and all that. But I don't know what Clark's doing. Clark is probably looking at the merging of Allie. There's sort of this final phase where the two um, individuals from both worlds sort of merge and become
God.
even more powerful. Yeah, exactly. Right. So he's probably witnessing the merging between Ali's two souls, bodies, whatever. Yeah,
What is
doppelgangers.
wrong? Like if you have yourself and your inverse of yourself, doesn't that make zero? You just kind of disappear. I'm simple math people. I mean, I don't
No
know.
idea. I mean,
Uh,
that's what I would assume, but um, we'll
and
find out exactly right.
I also wonder at him passing into the inverse world, bizarre world, because for him not to be seen or heard from for a month, does he travel into this world and a month has passed, but to him it's only been a few seconds? You
Ooh,
know?
good question. You know what I was thinking about is he doesn't have a yellow sun on that side.
No, it's a red sun, um, and so that's going to zap him. He's going to be normal. You know, um,
He should have known that.
I wasn't
He should
thinking. I mean,
he should
that's
have known that because his doppelganger was weaker on this planet and needed XK uh to yeah, right, to become stronger. So on that side, he doesn't have yellow sun and he's gonna need, I'm trying to figure this out, kryptonite to make him powerful.
he would need XK to make him powerful
You would need XK on that side.
because there's might be more of an abundance of basically the XK is green K over there. Green K makes Bizarro people powerful, Bizarro Kryptonians powerful, but it hurts regular Kryptonians. Um, yeah, it gets all twisted and everything like that. Now,
Oh
one thing
yeah, you're right. You're right. Sorry, I got that. I
so
got that backwards earlier.
one thing I should mention also the Bizarro Jonathan. He's obviously come across to find his own father, um, which begs the question: how long has Bizarro Clark been in this world? Has it been a month, a few weeks? I mean, we look at the first few episodes, like a lot of those run-ins with Bizarro Clark was probably within the matter of a couple weeks. So if you think about it, so it's obviously like on the same level, like this Bizarro Jonathan has come over to find his father. Is Jordan gonna have to find his way across to go find his dad in the Bizarro world?
Oh my god. Yeah.
That route, because Lois is already struggling with Jonathan, with Jordan, excuse me, having abilities, being a hero, trying to save people, uh, getting into fights and stuff, getting involved in a mission that they themselves had to, and she says, "Okay, yeah, come bail us out," kind of a thing. But she might have to potentially send her son off to do this, and he might have a better chance of survival because he's not full on Kryptonian, but who knows? So
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. Um, yeah, not certain. Now that Bizarro Jonathan is on our side, how pissed off is he going to be when he finds out his dad is dead?
pretty, I would say, especially knowing if he finds the person that did it has already crossed over into his world. But if he's able to get a stash of Green K and resurrect his father,
Ooh,
that's possible too. Because they haven't even explored that. Obviously, Clark's not going to think to use kryptonite because that's going to hurt him. He can't get close to that. So maybe if Jonathan's able to find Green K and find some way to resurrect his father with that, obviously not with the son's going to weaken him. But if he gets
right.
his father back to his world with some green kryptonite, he could save his father. Maybe that's his
Red Red Sun would give him powers, right? So they should
right.
have took his body to the jail cell that Clark's brother's in right now,
Yeah,
and that would
if
have might have revived him, possibly, potentially.
potentially, yeah. But I mean,
Come
they
on,
haven't.
Clark. Why didn't he think about this?
No, exactly. But he's not all dead. He's mostly dead, right? They always find a way to resurrect these characters.
1% of him still lives. If we can just tap into that 1%, then we
Yeah.
can revive him. Yeah, that kind of a thing. Cool. Yeah, you know what? I'm kind of, now that you mentioned it earlier, yeah, the next episode is probably just going to be all in Bizarro World. We're only going to
We're
be
waiting.
dealing with
We're waiting.
Clark.
So how does Clark manage to hold on to it? Are they going to show a whole globe and it's a square? Instead of a sphere. That's always the whole funny thing in the comics that Bizarre World was a square, not an actual sphere.
They're gonna
Or
have to. You know
yeah,
they have to do it. So yeah, I can see that happening just
yeah.
fine. So yeah, sucks we have to wait 3 weeks, but it gives us time to talk about everything else. In the meantime, so let us know what you thought about Superman and Lois episode 9, 30 days and 30 nights. What was your favorite part?
See Bizarro Lois. Will we see Bizarro John Henry? Uh, what other potential Bizarro characters are we going to see? Maybe we get a cameo with a Bizarro Supergirl or a Bizarro Green Lantern or something. Bizarro Flash. Wouldn't that be nuts? Because I mean, it's all Earth Prime, so
You weren't on the last episode, so Clark's brother was so shocked when he found out he has a wife
that's
on the
right.
other side. Who is that? Who do you think that is? It was such an unusual time to bring that up, and they just spent so much time on it that they have to call back to it in future episodes. Who's going to be that person?
Lucy,
Lucy?
Bizarro Lucy, Lois's sister.
All right, I can see that.
Put all in the family. But I mean, it's because he says he was his wife until she turned her back on him. And Lucy kind of, you get hints of that here. She played this whole victim thing to drug her dad for crying out loud to get what's her face out to let her in. So obviously there's some characters on both sides working together. It's very possible Lucy could be or was his wife and probably had him killed on the other side. So
Man, oh man, awesome! Lots to look forward to. And I'm still kind of in the back of my head sitting on the showrunners telling us that we're going to get Doomsday eventually in the season. I'm still kind of holding on to that, feeling like they weren't lying after all, but who knows? Huh?
yeah, right. Zorro Doomsday is a good guy, right?
I guess
Uh,
so. Something.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. Let us know what you thought about episode 9. Give us your theories on what's going to happen going forward. We want to hear from you guys, so let us know in the comments below. Finally, Uh, Something that I'm not going to talk a whole lot about, but Moon Knight. We got the premiere of Moon Knight on the Disney Plus streaming service, and I'm gonna give a mild spoiler warning, but I don't really think there's anything to spoil. This first episode is really just all set up, and you're not really kind of given too much. A lot of questions, and I mentioned this to Jericho. We had a conversation about it. A lot of questions. Very jarring. This first episode, everything happens really fast, and you're sort of going along with the main character, Steven, who has no answers to anything. But the fact that he's just so confused and overwhelmed by what's happening to him, as he has these what almost feels like like a very severe case of sleepwalking. So he has to kind of tie himself up at night because he finds himself in random places from time to time. We find out that it's not just sleepwalking; he's actually being completely possessed by other entities, not multiple, one, possibly two entities. Uh, which are superpowered and have the ability to take down thugs and other demon like figures and things. So, very interesting episode one. Love the effects. Oscar Isaac is an absolute brilliant actor. Anything he does is just so genuine. It feels so real. His mannerisms, his facial expressions, everything he is asked to do, I absolutely love. He's just as good of an actor as anybody else out there. I kind of relate him a lot to Pedro Pascal. It doesn't matter what the script says, it just comes off really well, no matter how ridiculous or lame the lines are or how cheesy. They always just have a way of acting through the BS and turning it into something really good and really special. So Oscar Isaac is a lot like Pedro Pascal in that regard, and they're like really good friends too. And they're both in the Star Wars universe, so that's another bonus. Um, there's just one scene where Oscar Isaac, Steven on the series, he has a gun in his hand and he's told to give it to, um, oh my gosh, one of the villains of the series, Ethan Hawke, and he's unable to control his fingers, but just the acting of trying to do something, but your hand's not letting you, and then he's having to try and pry his fingers back one at a time. It's so very funny, and it comes off so very well. And I'm like, this is so ridiculous that we're watching this, but Oscar Isaac is able to pull these type of scenes off, and I just think it's incredible. He's absolute perfect casting choice in this regard. Love everything that's happening. Again, very jarring. You're not going to understand a whole lot of what's going on. That's all intentional. It's just Marvel Studios, um, taking us on this crazy ride, this adventure along with this character. And we're going to be getting a lot more information in the next episode. This is the limited series one. I think this one's only 6 or 7 episodes. So we're going to be covering a lot of ground very quickly with this Moon Knight series. But so far, loved everything about it. It's so funny. It's so damn entertaining. And Oscar Isaac is just, he's on the top of his game. So if you're not watching it, yeah, if you're not watching it, please watch it and get caught up with us. And we will talk more about episode two, which premieres this Thursday on Disney Plus streaming service. And we'll be covering that either later this week or even possibly next week.
Haven't seen Moon yet, so I feel like you're attacking me. Yes, I'm.
No, you're all good, sir. I just wanted to make sure we talked about that for sure. But let me see. There was one other thing I wanted to kind of bring up right before we wrap up today's episode. Um, some news that dropped earlier today or earlier this week. Well, first off, want to give a shout out to our friends at Celebrity Fan Fest. I've already talked about their superhero car show and Comic Con. They're dropping it August 4th through the 7th. It's going to be at the Freeman Coliseum, which is right next to the AT&T Center where the San Antonio Spurs play. And they've already made 3 announcements. of who's going to be at the superhero car show and Comic Con. Of course, good friend of ours, Mr. Ernie Hudson, one of the OG Ghostbusters, one of the stars of Ghostbusters Afterlife, will be in attendance. Hope to see him again. That was going to be amazing. They also announced two, count 'em, two Titans stars. First is Curran Walters, who, of course, plays Red Hood. He was also on Supergirl. I don't remember that. I wonder who he played.
It's technically Supergirl when he made an appearance on the Crisis footage. That's what it is.
Ah, that's
Where
what
they
it
have,
is.
I think, and so he technically was a Supergirl episode, so that's where he ties in. Yeah,
That
unless he was
doesn't
in the
count.
previous episode and I completely missed it. I have no idea. So
No,
yeah.
you're probably right, and I wouldn't even count that. I'm surprised they did. And the second Titans star that they've added to their event is also the star of Reacher, Mr. Alan Richson,
Also from Smallville,
who
Aquaman on
who is
Smallville.
also from Smallville. Yeah, and he's a great addition, especially because he's such a high profile actor at this point. Everybody's loving Reacher, so good on him for being a part of that series. And he's coming to San Antonio. So if you want to get tickets, head on over to pmxevents.com, or you can go to Facebook and search Celebrity Fan Fest to get more information on the event. And tickets were on sale for a limited time. You're going to have to check their social media accounts to see if those deals are still going on. So be sure to go to pmxevents.com for more information. Also, to check if tickets are still discounted right now. And we hope to see you there because we're definitely going to be in attendance. And they're going to have way more announcements very, very soon. And it's also just anytime they put on an event, Celebrity Fan Fest, anytime they put on an event, it's top notch. You get so much for your money. Also, like they always discount food and stuff like that. Like it's such an easygoing experience, and you just have such a blast anytime they put on an event. So hope to see you there, and can't wait to hear more announcements and see what else is going to be going on at the superhero car show and Comic Con this August 4th through 7th at the Freeman Coliseum. All right. Final thing was the Batman Unburied Spotify audio series will be released May 5th, and we'll dive into some of the darker aspects of the Batman's mythology. The podcast features an all-star cast including Black Panther's Winston Duke, who's playing Bruce Wayne, Gina Rodriguez, Jason Isaacs, Lance Reddick, Ashley Birch, and John Reese Davies. It's going to be sort of an old school radio adventure show. So, what's it called? Everything is very cyclical, and entertainment is no different in that regard. So, we're going back a little ways to when stories were being told on
Oh,
the
where
radio.
if you
So, here
missed it,
we are.
we got to get around the radio. Yeah, pre-TV
Yeah,
days. Yeah,
here we are again. So, they're going to be telling Batman stories. Uh, Completely in audio versions, and Batman Unburied is what it's called. May 5th. We'll post links when they drop, but it's going to be on Spotify. Don't think it's going to be anywhere else. But yeah, very interesting. Can't wait to listen to them, and I'm sure we're going to be talking about them. So yeah, check
really
that
hope
out.
it's Morgan Freeman too. That voice is freaking immaculate.
Absolutely. And Winston Duke is such an interesting choice for Bruce Wayne. We've heard him in a couple of movies, right? He's not only in Black Panther, but he's also in Us, which was a type of horror thriller that Jordan Peele did. And so, yeah, going to be very interesting to see how his Bruce Wayne Batman sounds like. It's weird that they got to that conclusion. Like, who would sound like a great Bruce Wayne? Winston Duke. And I'm just like, really? but I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. I want to hear what he's got. Let's wait and see, and we'll give it a shot, and we'll talk all about it after it comes out. All right, and that'll do it for this episode of the Countdown to the Geekcast. Thanks so much, everybody, for following and subscribing. We've had such a great month of podcast downloads. So if you're out there listening to the podcast, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. We did over 1,000 downloads in 3 days. I counted 3 days this month, and we've never done anything like that before. So thank you so much out there for listening. Let us know what you want to hear. What are you watching that we're not talking about? We want to hear from you guys, so be sure to send us a message on Facebook by clicking that send message button, or you can always email us on the contact page of our website at www.countdowntothegeekcast.com. For the Geekcast, my name is Steady. With me on this episode is a man, the myth, the legend, you know him as JC.
Thanks for watching and listening. And check us out this week, Thursday. We're going to go live talking WrestleMania on the WrestleCast. The good and the bad of the 2 night event. And why and what else Tommy did. Tommy was up in Arlington and attended just about everything but WrestleMania in Arlington, and there was a lot. So he's going to give us a rundown of everything he was at, and he saw quite a bit. He's sending us a lot of pictures. So that'll be fun. So check us out Thursday night. So
See you next time. Have a good night, folks.